we are getting so close to The Chosen Season 5. Particularly, we're going to see a trailer, hopefully, at the end of this month. And then also, we're getting close to the end of the behind the scenes from the YouTube videos on the Chosen channel, because there's only about one more week left, I think, of those. And so let's jump into this behind the scenes video and talk about everything that's happening here with some of the Pharisees and Caiaphas and Pilate and all the stuff kind of behind the scenes here. Let's talk about it.
This week is a huge one for The Chosen because it's the very first week that they're filming here in the second soundstage.
And this is a massive set built here. You're going to get an inside look. Now, that one over there, we can't show you, so don't even do not. We're not allowed to see that set. Stop!
Call it. He's doing it. He was doing it.
So this set that they're hiding here, I don't even know if it's in this building. It might be. I don't even know if it's in this building, though. They kind of commandeered a secondary soundstage in order to build what seems like a forest or something similar. Very similarly like they did earlier on in season 3 with the kind of dreams of Claudia. So I think it's definitely part of Garden of Gethsemane. Stuff like that is what they're trying to hide here, but we'll talk about it more in a bit.
Come on!
Get him. Just get him.
Love these sections here. We're seeing obviously Caiaphas. I can't go back on this. Caiaphas' home here, which we've talked about plenty of times in the behind the scenes. We're also seeing Dallas looking like he's making a story here. So we've probably seen this portion before. We see some guy on the screen here, which I'm not sure who that is off the top of my head. Or that might be Malchus, actually, the servant of the high priest. Then here we see Caiaphas kind of sitting down, eating some food, reading some stuff. Let's go back. I always hate it when they do all these different things because then I have to pause for every single one. Let's see. This is a beautiful set here for sure. Here's Pilate in Caiaphas' house. We see, we saw really quick there, Brad, not Brad, but the stand-in for Brad Culver, which we're going to talk about in a second. Then we see Caiaphas and Gadara, which is quite interesting. The two of them, kind of religious leaders, and then just some off shots of different stuff. Here's where they would wash their hands coming into the building, and you'll see a little bit more of that later, some of the sconces and different things. And then Caiaphas' desk.
Caiaphas' house. And because it's so awesome, we decided we'd talk to set designer James Cunningham to learn what other epic things we could.
We wanted to make a real difference between Pilate's house and Caiaphas' house, so we brought the color way down, because Pilate's is very bright, reds and golds, paintings on the walls, they had statues, and the Jews didn't have that. So
I laugh every time. The difference between this statue and this statue is just so funny to me. Just like the different styles of statues. You can see just how amazing this one is. And then you have this one. I think this is supposed to be Apollo or Apollos. And then this is supposed to be, or Apollo. Yeah, Apollo, right? Yeah, Apollo. And then this is supposed to be Caesar, I think. So Caesar got kind of wrecked on this deal, I think a little bit.
Jews didn't have that. So the more wealthy Jews, we like to take kind of the Orientalist style, which was kind of Moroccan, Indian. We kind of took all that and kind of made that into the style for our upper class Jews.
What do you intend to do with Jesus of Nazareth?
Pontius has come to see Caiaphas because Pontius doesn't know the things that Caiaphas has planned. And he dodges the question, kind of manipulating me into believing that, you know, everything's not such a big deal.
Because both your people and our people hate zealots. They bring down your wrath.
Quite an interesting line here. Both my people and your people hate zealots. They bring down your wrath. So I wonder if a lot of you had the theory previously, as the Romans were kicking in the door to arrest these guys from last week, that this could be Barabbas. Maybe he is a zealot who is trying to assassinate Pilate or something of the like. And so it's definitely possible that Barabbas could be a zealot, and he, of course, is the one that they trade Jesus for in season 6, which is just a few days from now. So it makes a lot of sense that in season 5 they would arrest Barabbas and that he would be associated with the zealots and different things like that, as that's been a theory for Barabbas in general for a very long time, as he's like a murderer, and of course the zealots are kind of like the biggest group of those people. And so, interesting line that Caiaphas is bringing up zealots as well.
What motivates him is a mistaken idea of who Jesus is. He thinks Jesus is a revolutionary. I am terrified at the idea. 26 years before this, in actuality, there was.
So this is a weird thing because they're bringing up the revolt that happened way after Jesus. Like they're going to the Wikipedia page of the revolt that happened way after Jesus. But I think Richard Fancy is talking about one that happened before the time of Jesus, which is, there are several of them that happened before, but he's talking about one that happened 26 years before. Jesus was 33. So here they're highlighting the one that happened in 66 CE, which eventually culminated in the destruction of the temple in 70 CE. So I think whoever edited this was not understanding what he was talking about here, because the conversation does not make sense here about what he's saying.
26 years before this, in actuality, there was a revolt, and the Romans killed 3,000 Jews.
Yeah, so all of those pictures and stuff are talking about the revolt from 66 to 70 AD, which is a different time period altogether, for sure.
Crucified them, according to Josephus, the historian of the time. Caiaphas's whole determination is this never happens again.
Yeah, so his character during the time of Jesus is trying to protect the Jews from these assassinations and these different things, these genocides essentially that are happening within the Jewish people here.
We will hand him over ourselves before there is an uprising. Rome will not destroy us.
Dallas, Tyler, and Ryan chose to write him this way is because I think this is actually the way that history reflects most accurately. But I don't think that necessarily applied to Jesus.
I've already made the decision to.
So here we're seeing Caiaphas. Then we're also seeing Annis's, is it Ananias? Annis, yes. Annis is Caiaphas's father-in-law, and Annis's son is this guy here, along with his wife, it looks like, and that's Gadara in the background. We also see in this scene, I believe Malchus is off to the right of this shot, who is the servant of Caiaphas, who eventually will get his ear cut off by Peter.
So interesting scene today as
And Yanni seemed to be in that shot as well.
all the Pharisees enter Caiaphas' house. We're going to talk to Brad Culver, who plays Zebediah. So Brad, tell us a little bit about...
Nobody's gonna know.
They're gonna know.
I am Zebediah. Zebediah is in the scene, but Brad is not here, so they needed a double.
Wow.
Jordan's awesome. He's the key second assistant director, but he has also done a lot of different things. So he helped assistant direct on the Christmas special, and he's been working on The Chosen for a long time now. They're going to talk about it here, but actually the day that I was on set filming for season 4, the few days that I was there, 4 days that we were there, he actually ended up playing David because of the actors strike, because of the SAG-AFTRA strike last year. And so it was really interesting to see him play David, and now he's standing in for another character as well. So last time I saw him, I said, "My king!" And we had a quick chuckle about that one.
I know. Just say there was a King David last year that needed to be subbed in for, and you're looking at that sub.
Here's what I love about soundstage stuff. Right up there in that window. That's the sun. I mean, it's not the sun, but it's the sun. Soundstage.
Let's just have you come from the door.
Camera set and action.
For those who have seen the season 4 finale know that Shmuel just couldn't get past what he was witnessing based on how he was raised and what he thought was hypocrisy after Jesus just talked about taking care of the poor, and then all of this expensive perfume was just used to anoint his feet. So I think for Shmuel, especially to be such a stickler, to come so close to believing in Jesus in that moment, he's that much more of a potent, false prophet among the people.
Now, Sean Sharma, you guys know my theory. I talked about this. during all of my season 4 coverage, clearly, but I think there's a possibility that Sean Sharma is actually playing Saul, who will eventually become Paul. I have a lot of theories about why that is. I think there's a possibility, at least, that it's the case, though I don't think it's 100%. However, Sean did leave a cryptic message on that video in particular, saying that the only person that knows who Paul is Dallas. And so he left that cryptic message on that video in particular, meaning that if he is Paul, Sean doesn't himself know that, which is probably a good thing, if that is the case. But Dallas is the only one who knows who Saul/Paul is, which in and of itself may be a clue that he is Paul. I don't know. We'll have to see. The fact that Dallas didn't comment on that video and say, no, you're wrong, is probably also a sign of that too. But but anyway, let's continue on here.
It's everything I feared. As I understand from Shmuel and Zebediah, it will be about undermining Jesus' authority. Your plan is predicated upon the ability to find Jesus, something even his own followers.
So this is an interesting line here. I love all the lines kind of coming up to this. Shmuel, first of all, is coming to Caiaphas probably right after or right during the triumphal entry and saying it's worse than I feared. This whole Jesus thing, it's gotten out of hand. It's crazy. Things are happening. You need to know. Now we see Gadara here as well. This line in particular is quite interesting because I think this is where Judas is going to come in. And so he says, first off, he says that I hear from Shmuel and Zebediah that basically the plan is to undermine Jesus's authority. So to get all of the Pharisees to question and to attack Jesus, which is exactly what they do in this season. We've seen that over and over again. But also the second line here is this plan is predicated first off on finding Jesus, which is something not even his own followers are often able to do. So they don't often know where Jesus is either. So that means that Judas is obviously going to have to help them to find where Jesus is, which of course will end up being the Garden of Gethsemane. And that's kind of where things turn out to be there. So I bet this conversation turns from Gadara asking this question to Caiaphas being like, well, do we have a connection to one of his followers? And then that comes to Shmuel, and Shmuel is kind of the connecting point to Judas. And then that is where all of the betrayal stuff kind of goes from there. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff we could see happening with this. Absolutely.
Often are able to do.
Today's the last day for the season. And
for us, not for
us. Yeah. And already feeling, I wish I could be here, till the end.
It's been tremendous. And every season I come back, I feel more part of the show and more part of everybody else. And, bonding with guys like...
Oh, yeah, let's dance a little bit.
I don't know if I love him or I hate him. I can't... What was your name again?
What was you?
Godiva. Gadara. It is.
Gadara, this is his second season, obviously. Yanni has been here since season 2. And so it's cool to see this Pharisee, Sadducee kind of connections here between having, truthfully, Gadara is the real antagonist along with Caiaphas, as Gadara is really threatened by Jesus because of the threat of resurrection and everything that comes along with Lazarus as well. Because remember, Sadducees, they don't believe in the resurrection, and so this is really challenging his faith overall.
It's a pleasure having you on.
Well,
in a big
but
way.
You really are the one who's the pleasure.
No, stop it. No. I was trying to have a sincere moment with him. I even took off my glasses, and he just slapped me in the face with me.
Did you like seeing James in this video?
Anyway, let's go over to the bonus video here, talk about JP, who has been a part of the team for a while, but I believe he's no longer either he didn't help with all of season 5, or he's done working with the Chosen team altogether and he's moving on to something else. I'm not entirely sure, but anyway, we've seen him on the Chosen set for a very long time. Been, connected with a lot of people that were there from the very beginning. And so he's been a huge help. I've seen many posts about him over the years of people just loving him and everything else. And so we're going to kind of talk about him and his job here, which is interesting. Definitely.
Oh, so nice. Why would they throw that up? Oh, look nice in my apartment. Oh my gosh, this is so hot. But it's so pretty up here. Oh, yes. Hello. We've seen a lot of the jobs here at The Chosen, but what about the jobs that no one sees?
Who takes out all that garbage? right there. Or if something breaks on set we're trying to film, who fixes it?
Dun, 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 dun. Jeremy Ghana, AKA JP.
Your position is locations. What does that mean?
First one's in, last one's out. We have to make sure everything's locked down. We're security as well. We're kind of responsible for scouting locations, and if we have to get permits for certain areas to film or fire marshals to come in and approve, city involvement, paperwork, that's where locations gets involved. We have to provide tents, restrooms. So there's a lot of things that go into it.
Lots of logistics. I would hate this job. But I'm sure he does a great job.
It's outside before we even get to the actual filming portions of it. So today, I think we're expected to have 175 background, which means I'm responsible for not only having them a place to stay.
You're probably going to recognize some of the people in this tent. In fact, I know at least one of them is in our community, and she'll probably watch this. She's on our Patreon as well, so we'll point her out when we get to
They to hold, but when they get to set, we have to put up another area for them to hold. Look at Rachel right here. Rachel's already busting her butt, putting up a tent. And, 40 pounds each. Look at her. 40 pounds each, right? Look at that. Ready?
I was gonna actually act for this.
We're gonna go ahead and grab 2 more tents, pop them up right here, maybe even 3. Again, just to try to help BG stay as cool as possible.
JP, how did you get connected with The Chosen?
So it started in season 2, you know, me and Willie. He was already working on The Chosen.
If you don't know Willie, he's been on the show for a very long time, but very behind the scenes kind of guy. You really don't see him in content and stuff, but yeah, he's been here for a very long time.
Locations, and you know, we're actors, so he knew I wasn't getting any work at the time. He's like, why don't you come work with me at The Chosen? Didn't really know what I was getting into, but made more of a relationship with Willie, and then everybody from top to bottom, from producers to, I mean, every single person. Basically a family is what it felt like when I got here. She's the reason my muscles are so big.
I wonder if, I wonder if he's saying it doesn't feel like that anymore because the show's gotten so big, but I know generally everybody agrees that it's a one big family. I mean, it feels that way to me when I'm on set, so definitely feels that way to them, I'm sure.
True.
These is who makes the show happen and run right here.
These are some of the producers and executive producers. I can't remember. Definitely some of the producers of the show, executive producers and producers. Chris June is one of my favorite people. I was trying to think of what to say about him, but he's awesome. He's one of my favorite people. We always mess with each other when we see each other, and he always gives me some of this like like this side eye of like, what do you know? What do you know this season? So he's a great guy.
We've seen you on magazine covers, big roles on Netflix shows. So how did that even happen?
Regardless of being on magazines or on book covers or TV shows, I'm still a human being at the end of the day. My dad always taught me that if you have the ability to work. So to me, this is beyond anything that has to do with me. It's bigger than that. It's the genuine purpose of just loving what you do while you do it, as you do it, because in that present time, that's what you have to do in order to continue to grow and be better. So another responsibility we have is getting with camera crew. They have a lot of electronics, cameras, you know, batteries, and we have to provide a safe shelter for them. So we got to provide tents, we got to provide a video village. The video village is where they go watch the film and see what they just rolled on. You're clear. All right, Joe, that's gonna be a tough walk through there. Tents for camera, boom. Perfect timing, guys. We just were on our way to background tent, and then they decided they wanted to call me because apparently there's a piece of wood from the floor that's lifting up. So let's go check it out and make sure everything's okay. This is where everything background related happens, from wardrobe, changing tents, hair and makeup stations to
So this is a member of our community. If you guys don't recognize her, she's been in a lot of different background stuff. Sylvia, I believe is her name. And she's been great, huge part of our community and on our Patreon as well. So it's been cool to talk with her over the years. We even met her in person at Chosen Con last year, and so that was a ton of fun. She was our last contestant in our game that we played at that. So yeah, cool stuff to see her in here.
Background holding, where they check in. As you can see, guys, we get 150, 170 plus people a day, probably for multiple weeks. Damage happens. It's repairable, fortunately, but right now we don't have the tools to fix it, but we're gonna find a solution.
Over the years, how has The Chosen impacted you?
One of the things that keeps drawing me back is other people's testimony of what the show has done for them in their lives. You, Brad, everybody here with us right now has seen the works of God on this show, and it is undeniable. I get chills about it right now. Like Dallas said in his interview, there's not a person on the show that doesn't walk by you, make you smile, give you a hug, give you a fist bump. And that's something that you don't get on a lot of productions. I think I have a solution. Fun part. I mean, this is temporary fix, but it'll help. That's a better fix, but when people clear out, I might come here later and do it again or refix the wood or something. Thank you. Yes, sir.
This is your last week with us. How are you feeling and why do you hate us so much?
So here, they kind of skip over a little bit, but this is the last week that he's here with them. I think what they mean is for season 5, but it could mean longer than that. I'm not sure.
No, it's bittersweet. I get to go represent and honor a close friend of mine that passed away. So again, it's bigger than me. I know my purpose and calling is to help others. And with this opportunity that I'm going to do, it's going to help others and create more doors for others to grow and learn themselves. So I'm blessed and honored to carry that weight on my shoulders. Let's go.
Thank you.
So cool stuff, cool bonus video, interesting stuff here. Hardboiled was bringing up, what if the Watcher is Saul of Tarsus? I've seen this theory a lot, but it doesn't really make any sense, right? One, why would he be there? Remember, Saul was a Pharisee, most likely part of the Sanhedrin. So, like we see in scripture, he talks about having a vote among the people, right? Among the religious leaders. And so for him to have a vote, he most likely would have been in the Sanhedrin, which is why people think that he was. So I don't see why he would be dressed in that way. And in season 5, behind the scenes, we've seen him dressed again in the same way that we saw him in season 4. So most likely that's not Saul. It really would not make any sense unless some things are very much changed from the scripture. So we would have to see. Remember, he said that he was a Jew of Jews, a Pharisee of Pharisees, right? And so that's how he would have acted. He wouldn't have been pretending to be someone else and hiding in order to see Jesus, especially in that point in the storyline of The Chosen. Doesn't super make sense. So anyway, that's all the stuff here from this section of the YouTube stuff. Behind the scenes is almost done from The Chosen, so stick around for next week and beyond to see what they put out from there. And then we'll be right up to Chosen Con, so definitely if you are going to be there live, keep on checking out the channel. We'll tell you when we're going to show up and what we're going to do there, as well as watch on the channel because there's going to be a ton of content that's coming out around Chosen Con. We'll probably try to live stream at some point. We'll probably try to do a whole bunch of different stuff, so we would love you have you guys along for that ride, absolutely, and we'll see you guys then. Anyway, leave a comment down below. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.